Happy New Year's and welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're here for another Monday Minisode. We should have had like streamers and what do you call those things that whatever like
the poppers.
Yeah,
and
we should
have the blow. Yeah, I'll never forget when we had our the 100th episode. Yes. And he launched those like confetti cannons in my studio / inventory warehouse. Like there was confetti everywhere for years. I was picking up confetti, man. It was ridiculous. But happy New Year's, guys. It is 2024. The world is still turning. We are still here. And it's exciting because I know. Like, I get the whole, like, New Year's resolutions are cheesy and blah, 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 and all of the things. Like, I get it. There's no better time to start than right now, no matter what time of the year it is. There's no better time to, like, fix whatever's going on in your life. But there's something about a new year that is, it's awesome. Like, a new anything, whether it's the start of a week, start of a day, the start of a year, the start of a month, like it kind of is psychologically a chance for you to think of going forward. And this is a new opportunity, and it really is. So whether or not it's New Year's, it's a new day. So we're looking forward to 2024. And what are some things that we can do going in, starting off strong in 2024 to make sure that we have a great year as resellers? Because, last year, there was a lot of complaints. There were a lot of people who are upset, and there's some things you can control, some things you can't control. But I think that if we can go into 2024 controlling every variable we can control, then we're going to have a much better year no matter what's going on in the world around us. And it's just going to make us happier people to not complain, but just do the things we need to do. So Orlando, what do you think? What do we need to do in order to be successful this year?
One of the things that I struggle with all the time, and maybe I should have said disciplined, but I worded it plan to be consistent. Now, that could mean a lot of things. There's some resellers that would say that means I list 30 things every day. For other resellers, it means I list 10 things. For other resellers, it means I source on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I list on Tuesday, Thursday. Whatever it is, a plan to be consistent. I think that will help you in 2024 definitely being successful. I know for myself, one of the things I struggle with as a full-time reseller is I'm not very good at scheduling my time. So this year, I'm going to work at making sure that I get my listings done early in the morning, right? And usually now I get them done at night, and I do get them done, but sometimes they fall off, right? Something comes up, like my kid has a program to go to, or, somebody invites me to go out or whatever. And I'm not saying I need to treat it like a 9 to 5, but there needs to be some consistency. One of the things that did help me out tremendously in 2023 was I was consistent in garage sales every Saturday. I think I missed maybe 5 Saturdays all year. And those 5 Saturdays that I missed was because something was going on, whether, the sporting event for my kids, or another one was, it rained. I had 2 that I missed because it was, it's the holiday season and no one's really, on the 23rd of December, and there's not many garage sales at all. But I was consistent. And I remember one of the comments I got on Instagram a few years ago when I would do the whole, stories about my garage selling was, man, going full time with garage sales is a grind. And I was like, wow, yeah, you know what? It kind of is. But I now I look back in 2023 and the sourcing wasn't a grind. Like it was, as long as I was consistently out there, I had plenty to list. I mean, I still have stuff that I haven't listed. And I do local deals, but I've heard, I think it was Kevin from Commonwealth Picker say that I think he sources like only 45 days out of the year for the year. And I know he has other revenue that comes in, but that's kind of where I'm at too. Like I source maybe, 45, let's say I do 45 Saturdays out of the year. Right. And then I do local deals during the week if anything comes across or somebody contacts me, because I do have a bunch of people that I've networked with. And so being consistent there has helped me out. Another way that consistency helped me out in 2023 was I was always great about giving people my business card. When people texted me about an opportunity, I didn't wait an hour. I didn't wait 2 hours. It was within seconds. I was back texting them, and I had so many opportunities. And so that consistency paid off. Now, the consistency I'm going to have to implement in 2024 is being consistent about listing all these items. Like I get in the habit of just listing the most profitable, and then the other stuff I leave to the side, even though there's money. And that's not bad. You make your money back and you make profit, but you end up having a ton of inventory and money that's just sitting around that you're not making money on. And so that's one of the things I definitely want to work on. But, plan to be consistent, whether it be consistent in your sourcing, consistent in your shipping. Maybe you want to go from 1 day to same day shipping. Maybe that's consistency in listing. Maybe it's consistency in making sure you take time off, right? Because one of the things you can cut up as a reseller is you could do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but maybe you need that 1 day out of the week to spend with your family and friends so you feel refreshed the next day and you get back into reselling. So that's one of the things about consistency.
Yeah, that's good. Consistency is so important. I mean, you figure a lot of times everybody wants immediate results with whatever it is they're trying to do in life. They want to make a bunch of money really fast. They want to lose a bunch of weight really fast. They want to learn a new skill really fast. And the reality is that's not how anything works. I mean, you can negative things tend to happen much faster than positive things, but even negative things, it's consistency in a negative habit or a negative, mindset that leads to bad things happening. And yeah, consistency, if you are consistently good with your money, you're consistently good with what you're eating, you're consistently good with your sourcing and reselling, little bits of changes over time, it all adds up. The person who thinks I'm going to learn the guitar tonight and they spend 20 hours practicing the guitar, they're not going to be any better at guitar than the person who practices for 5 minutes a day for a couple weeks. They're going to be way better off if you're going slower. And over time it builds up. And the thing about consistency too is most people won't be consistent. Most people can show up and work hard for a few weeks. It's the people who go for months, years, decades that they look back and it's like they're on the top of the mountain. They've made it. And it's because they took little steps here and there. And one of the best ways to be consistent is to schedule. So I think it's important to have the night before to kind of think of all the things you need to do the next day. And even before that, plan out big picture stuff like the start of the year. What do I want to accomplish this year? The start of each month. What do I want to accomplish this month? What are my priorities each week, each day? And if you do that, you can schedule out what's most important. Hey, I know what needs to be done this week. I know how many listings I need to get done. I know where my sourcing is going to be. I know I've got garage sales this day, and it allows you to start kind of planning out a schedule. And I'm thinking, even with the idea of listing and being consistent with listing, a schedule is going to help you tremendously. If you say every day between 5 and 6 o'clock or 7 and 8 o'clock is my time to list. If you've got that on the schedule and you don't compromise on that, you're going to get it done. It's going to happen. But if you kind of just say like, I'm going to list some time today, the chances of it getting done goes down significantly because, you can always say, well, later. But if you give yourself a timeline, you give yourself, this is when it's happening, you put it in the calendar, it's much more likely to take place and happen. And I was kind of thinking about, scheduling and consistency, because those two kind of go hand in hand a lot of times is, for instance, me, I work out about an hour, 4 to 5 times a week in the morning. I don't do anything else, but I work out and I listen to music. And then I list at other times during the day or other times during the week. And I was like, what if I just scheduled in my rest periods between sets, if I just took some pictures and then listed, what if I got 2 listings done every day working out? It's like, well, that's nothing, 2 listings. Well, I work out 5 times a week for a whole year. That's 520 items.
Yeah.
520 items. Let's say half of those items sell in a year and I make $20 on each of those. That's $5,000. I've made $5,000 just on tinkering around in between sets because I work out in my garage. So it's if you schedule in that time, you say between this time and this time, this is happening, it's much more likely to get done. So start at the beginning of the year. It's the start of 2024. Set yourself a schedule and stick to it. And one of the best things you can do is don't try and change everything all at once, but pick 1 or 2 actionable things you can do this week, this month, and schedule them in. Whether it's I'm going to go sourcing on this day, or I'm going to get through this death pile on this day, put it on your calendar, set a reminder, and stick to it. And I can't remember the name of the effect that we talked about. We read it, I think it was in the 4-Hour Work Week, but we've also, I've seen it other places as well, is things are going to fill up the space that you give it. So if I say I have a week to do this, it's going to take me a week to do it. And I've noticed this as a teacher with my students. If I give them a week deadline, it doesn't start coming until the end. But if I say this is due at the end of the period, that same assignment, all of a sudden they're rushing and they're getting it done and it's coming in. So the same thing is with us. If we give ourselves a shorter time frame, we give ourselves a schedule, this will be done by the end of the day. You'll get it done at the end of the day. If you say you'll have it done by the end of the week, it's going to take you the whole week to get it done. So get it on the schedule, get it done as quickly as you can, and you're going to see the changes happen really, really quick. And that's a good way to start your year, man. If you could start 2024 with a handful of wins, like little things, like, man, I did it. I got through that death pile that was bugging me all year last year. Man, that's a momentum that's just going to keep you going all year long.
No, agreed. And one of the momentum you want to start right away with is bookkeeping. And I know no one wants to hear this word. Well, a lot of resellers, don't want to hear that word. There are some that love it. Some people love the bookkeeping aspect of it. And, I have people that tell me all the time, like, Orlando, I don't spend that much time because I'm very disciplined about it and I take care of things. But if it's something that you're struggling with and something that, you always put off, if you want to make 2024 successful, I strongly encourage you to do my bookkeeping. And we always push my reseller genie. And you can, sign up if you want. There's a link below. Use our code Pure Hustle for 15% off the first month. But I'm not just talking about just bookkeeping in sense of, hey, I'm just going to have, my reseller genie set up to import all my data to put in when I buy items. Maybe some of that is opening a separate business account, right? We already talked about this in our last episode about what to do as you move into 2024. But, keeping things separate so you actually know what's going on, right? Figuring out your time. How much time are you spending? Doing all those things to be efficient. Because bookkeeping is one of those things that you may think you're making a lot of money, but if you're not looking at your numbers, you may be losing. And I've had years where I thought I did really well, and then it came to getting my taxes done, and I did not do so well. I thought I was doing well, and everything on the surface looked well, but in the end, I actually ended up at a loss. And so you got to be careful with bookkeeping because it's something that can run away with you, especially if, it's March, it's April, and you're like, oh, it's too late. It doesn't matter. And then it's October, and next thing you know, you've got an entire year, and now you are trying to do everything backwards, which I am guilty of. And so start with bookkeeping right away. Sign up for my reseller genie, get the Mile IQ app, whatever app you need to track your miles. If you want to track your hour, whatever it is, find a way to be up on your bookkeeping.
No, that's great. And kind of going along that same vein of bookkeeping, bookkeeping is organization of your records, right? Of the money, of the documents you have. You also need to organize your inventory. I think if you could start the year with your inventory completely organized, you know what you have, you understand what's in your death piles, even inventory of your shipping supplies, you're going to be much better off because I've talked many times in the past on episodes, this idea of kind of like the cloud that hangs over your head when you've got like a messy room that you're in and you've got a pile of bills and you've got a pile. And if you don't look at those things, if you're kind of just like, I'm not going to look at that death pile, I'm not going to look at that big old mess of shipping supplies, I'm sure I've got enough boxes if these things sell. It's like a weight, almost like a oppression that's on you that you don't even realize until you kind of get stuff organized, man. Like, I mean, if you walk into a clean room, you walk into all your inventory organized, you're going to just feel better. You're going to know what it is you have. You're going to know what it is you need to do. You're going to have a clear mind. And the same thing is true with the inventory you have as far as, everything that's in your totes, everything. Do you have custom SKUs for everything? Because if you don't, you're going to be wasting time every single time you sell something. I mean, think about it. There's at least once every year or two, my wife and I kind of go through everything. We condense because sometimes, you're selling, totes start to get empty, other totes start to get full, and then things can get mixed. And you might realize there was some stuff that you had never had custom SKUs on. And over time, that mess just gets worse and worse. Things don't get better on their own, right? Like, isn't that one of the laws of thermodynamics? Like, things are just getting worse. Yeah. And so unless you are actively trying to make your systems better, things are going to progressively get worse. If there's no stagnation, you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And so if you take the time to go through everything, you might spend an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, 10 hours, who knows how much inventory you have. You might spend quite a bit of time going through everything, getting everything in the right spots, making sure you know where stuff is, but that time is going to be paid back quickly in the year. Every time something sells, you might be saving 5, 10, 15 minutes because you're not searching. That adds up over the course of the year. And so getting inventory organized now is going to pay dividends. So pay yourself by getting that stuff done early.
Agreed. And then the last thing here is determine new goals. Set those new goals. Follow through on those new goals. Now, there are the monetary goals, right? You're going to pledge that you're going to make 10% more, or that you're going to make a certain dollar amount, or that you're going to sell a certain amount of items. And I would encourage you to make those goals, right? I'm more of a fan of, and Mike might disagree, but of setting up goals of things I can control, right? I can't control how sales are going to go, but I can control what I source. I can control how I list. I can control, my shipping. I can control, what I'm doing during certain times of the year. And so, for example, my goals this year is I'm going to definitely look to source a different niche. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm going to spend the next few days. We're a little bit early here when we're dropping this episode, but by the time this drops, I will have that new niche I'm going to figure out. But I want to learn something new, because what helped me out this last year was learning a bunch of new niches, and now I can source railroad lanterns. I'm not an expert, but I can source them. I can source like decoys. I can source manga books. I can source all these different things I never had sourced in 2022 or before. And so I want to learn a new niche. So maybe a goal that you determine is like you're going to learn 2 new niches, right? Or maybe a goal you have is you're going to start on a new platform. Maybe you're going to start a whatnot, but do something to switch things up. But determine that you're going to set up some goals, so at least there's some kind of adaptation and some kind of change going to 2024.
Yeah, well, that's great. And one of the things too with goals is you have to be honest. You have to be willing to look at what you really want to change. A lot of times people will say things like, "Oh, I want to lose weight," or "I want to make more money," or and they just have these vague goals. But they allow comfort to like basically lie to them, and so they don't ever do anything to change and actually make changes. But if you sit down with your own self, you think about where you're at, and you really figure out where you want to go and how bad you really want it, and you'll make it happen. Like if you're like, I need to make an extra $10,000 this year, because if I don't make $10,000 extra this year, my life will fall apart, or I won't have this thing that I need, or like whatever it is. Like if you actually are like, this must happen, and you'll figure out a way to make it happen. Like if it comes down to, if you name it, like this is how much I need, then you could start breaking down and figuring out the steps you need to go to get there. But if you just have general goals, like I'm going to do better, I'm going to work harder this year, it's too nebulous. There's no target to actually be focusing on. But if you pick a goal and you focus on it and you're actually going that direction, then maybe halfway through the year, you realize your goal is a little bit off. You have to adjust it a little bit, but you've at least made progress. You're moving in the right direction. So yeah, make very specific goals and figure out how much you really want it. Because be honest, like if you're like, you know what, I'm kind of okay with the amount of money I'm making now. So if I just say I want to make more money, I'm probably not actually going to do what it takes to get there. But if you're like, you know what, if I need to make more money, I'm going to make more money. And then you can set goals that you're actually going to follow through with. So be honest with yourself, figure out what you really want, and then take those steps to get there.
Agreed. So, hey, hope all of us start off 2024 strong, motivated, determined to make it an incredible year in reselling. With that being said, make sure to be real,
be relevant,
and be reselling.
Peace.